Well, hey, welcome back, Mustangs. Welcome back to Canard TV. This week we'll be working on Habit 3, the last of the private victories, still here in the roots of the tree. And Mrs. Effler is going to take us through that work. But before we get started with that, we need one of the universe's greatest jokes. So let's see what we have for today. Oh, here we go. How would you describe a frog with a broken leg? Well, you can bet that that frog would be very unhappy. One of the universe's greatest jokes right there. All right, we're going to move on here to our academic dean, Mrs. Effler, again talking to us about Habit 3. Mrs. Effler, take it away.
Thanks, Mr. Morrow. Hi guys, I'm Mrs. Effler, and I'm here to talk to you about Habit 3, which is putting first things first. This is the habit of willpower, that's the ability to say yes to things that are important, and won't power, the ability to say no or pause on things that maybe are less important. This habit lives in the private victory of our tree. And this is why it's so important, because people can't see that you're working on it, right? If you're putting first things first, no one is seeing anything that you're doing to work on it. It's part of that private victory. But it's super important that you manage your time correctly and you put first things first so that the rest of the tree is able to grow and be super healthy and be the best tree that it can function to be. So, how do we do that? How do we put first things first? A lot of it, is about time management. And so this is where you are identifying things that are important versus urgent. So important things are things and activities that you need to do and are important for you to get taken care of. And urgent things are things that need to be done right now. They're kind of in your face and they have to be done sooner rather than later. What's important about being a good time manager and putting first things first is that you live in the important world. You don't ever really go into the urgent world, because if you take care of everything that's important first, nothing should really become urgent. And if something pops into your world that is unexpected, you've taken care of your important things first so that you can deal with the urgency if needed. So, what does that look like? All right, we're going to put you into a little bit of a quadrant here, okay? So, as a time manager, think of yourself as a student and in class, either in a remote or when we were back in the building, but you did things a certain way and you function as a human in a certain way. You're either functioning and doing things in an urgent and important way, right? The procrastinator. You're doing things in a not urgent but still important way, the prioritizer. You're doing things in an urgent but not important way, you're the yes man. Or you're doing things in a non-urgent and non-important way, you're the slacker. Okay? So what I'd like you to do now, teachers, I'm going to have you pause in a second, and I'm going to have you draw 4 quadrants on your board or on your document camera, and I want them to represent these 4 quadrants here. And I want you as a class to talk about what are some examples of the procrastinator, the prioritizer, the yes man, or the slacker. And once you've come up with a couple of examples under each quadrant, I would like for you to identify what is a quadrant that would be the healthiest one to live in. All right, I'm going to have you guys pause now. Welcome back. All right, so hopefully you guys identified quadrant 2, the prioritizer, as the healthiest quadrant to live in, right? So that means that you are planning ahead with your week. That means that you're doing your homework when it's due. That means that you're giving time to your friends, because it's important that you dedicate time to them and your friendships. You might be working out, you might be relaxing, right? You're doing everything in your life to create balance amongst everything that's required for you, but you're doing it at a high-performing level. So, how can we visualize this? Let's put our prioritizer into the formation of rocks, right? Let's talk about big rocks. And these are like your mini goals for the week, right? These are the things that you have to accomplish in order for you to be a successful prioritizer in the week. These are your big rocks that need to get done. So I've created a little chart to help you identify your big rocks, because for me, I could talk a lot about big rocks with just my kids, and they could be a ton of big rocks. I could talk about a lot of big rocks with just my job, right? And there's lots of big rocks, but we want to make sure we hit a big rock in a lot of different parts of our lives that are very important. So take a look at this chart, and you can see that it's organized in a way that helps you think about big rocks in the form of you as a student. What's something that you have to get done this week as a student? Maybe study for a test, maybe finish a project, right? That's a big rock. It's a mini goal. What's something that's a big rock for you as a friend? Do you have a special birthday coming up from one of your best friends and you want to make sure that you're celebrating them and making them feel special on their special day? What's your job or your big rock as a member of your family, right? You might have chores to do. You might have expectations from your parents that need to get done. What is the expectation or the big rock for you, right? What's going to help you be healthy and prioritize your health so that you can ensure that everything else gets done? And lastly, maybe you're involved in a sport or an extracurricular activity or something else, and what's a big rock for that, okay? So what I'm going to have you do is individually, in a second, teachers, I'm going to have you guys pause, and I'm going to have you identify all of your big rocks for this week. And it's really important that we just talk about this week as 1 week only, because I know my big rocks can last weeks and weeks out on end, but let's talk about only this week right now. So have your students get out a piece of paper, make this chart please, and have each student individually identify their big rocks in these categories for this week. You can pause now. Welcome back. Hopefully we got our whole week, big rocks, planned out and prioritized on our sheet, right? Let's look at them in a little bit of a different visual, okay? We've been talking about rocks, so let's bring in some rocks, right? So here's some big rocks. Here's some things that you might have written down on your list. See if anything matches like this. You might have study for your history summative as one of them. You might have celebrate one of your best friend's birthdays. You might have finishing up your laundry because it's becoming a huge, massive pile and you have no clothes to wear. You might have to go for a run or a walk. You might have to practice for your upcoming soccer game, right? Those are kind of all your big rocks that you might have written down. And you might have had more school-related things too if you have multiple assessments coming up. But hopefully you wrote some of those down, okay? Now let's identify your pebbles. You see these pebbles right here. These are still important things, right? You still need to ensure that they get done, but they're a little bit more fun. They kind of go really fast throughout your day. They're easy for you. You don't have to use a lot of brain power to get them done. They're still important, but they're not our most important, right? This could be going over to a friend's house for a sleepover. That's important, right? It could be going on a vacation with your family to the mountains for the weekend. It could be as simple as taking your dog for a walk, or mowing the lawn, or going to a doctor's appointment, right? That's something that our week just gets filled up with, right? Little things, still important, but not our big rocks. So now let's take all these rocks and let's make our week successful. So this jar, we're gonna prioritize our rocks into this jar, which is our week, right? We're gonna say, this is my week. I gotta fill it up with everything that I deemed as important, my big rocks and my pebbles, and I gotta cap it off. I have to ensure that everything fits into my week. I didn't overload myself. I'm not becoming the yes man, right? I'm able to successfully accomplish everything that I've set my priority level to. So let's try it out. I'm gonna start with my pebbles first because they're super easy and they're easy to get done, they're fun. I like doing them, and I'm gonna put them in first. Whew, sweet. There's my little pebbles, right? Super fun, got all my little tasks done. Now that we're in the middle of the week, now I'm gonna start my super important stuff, okay? I'm gonna put my super important stuff in. These are my big rocks. This is what I said I had to get finished, right? And now I'm gonna cap it off. Do you see how it doesn't fit? I now am becoming the yes man. I'm becoming the slacker. I'm becoming everything that I don't want to do to prioritize. They don't fit. I can't cap it off, right? Let's try that again. What could we do differently? We could do our big rocks first, right? I said these are super important. I'm going to make sure these are done first. I'm prioritizing these. I'm putting myself in to be a good time manager. And then I sprinkle all my pebbles in, which are super fun and enjoyable, right? Put that in, cap it off. See though? There you go, Mustangs. That is your week. That is your prioritized week where you become a great time manager for yourself so that you can be the best student that you can be. So here's my challenge to you. What I'd like you to do right now is get out your planner and put your jar of rocks into action. Write down your big rocks right now. Make time for them this week. Then put in your pebbles. Put them in a different color. Write them in a different way. But make time for those things too. And then be careful that you don't overdo yourself, right? Set yourself up for success. And then you will be able to be the best student that you can be. All right, Mustangs, thanks for putting first things first.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Effler. Great job with habit 3. You know, next week now we'll be going into the first of the public victories with habit 4. So we'll see you then. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.